Scorpio, my delicious, delightful, spiky friend, Scorpio. Creepy, crawly, excitable, funny little guy. I love you. I love you. I'm Scorpio as well. I've got 5 planets in Scorpio. Very nice to be here with you and Ascendant. It's very good to be here. So November can be an interesting cracker if you understand that you've done in a recent, probably even all your life, something that you shouldn't have done. So it's a bit like, oh, I never had to. I never had to do that. Okay. Or, oh, wow, why did I not see that perhaps my mother's always been very selfish, but I thought she was needy, and I've created a relationship which has marred my whole life. Or you might have recognized something even a little bit more interesting than that. Like, say, for example, I've been working as an accountant and thinking that nobody would like it if I started an online business, say like selling apps or like gaming cards. And then my friend has done it, and he's now very wealthy, just over just a few months of doing something. Or Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Okay, I never believed it, and looks like I should have. So basically, with Scorpio, there is a little bit of a. It doesn't matter what it is. There's a little bit of a, oh, I've done this all my life, and I haven't really had the chance to see that it shouldn't have been until now. And it's a very exciting time for us to see that, because quite often Scorpios don't see themselves. They can see another person's suffering as like that. It's like, well, you should do this, and this, and that's why things work out for me. And then suddenly Scorpio's like, things don't work out for me. Sometimes they get things wrong as well. And that's not easy to see for you, but it's really delightful for us when a Scorpio suddenly like comes to its senses and goes, I'm a freak, or like, I'm a vulture, or like, oh my gosh, I've been, say, abusive to someone, or I've made the wrong choices, or I've been an alcoholic and I've had a problem and I never really considered telling myself that, or I've never really understood before this, or I never really I had no idea. I have every idea for what's around the corner for others. I have no idea what's around the corner for me. And that is when we want you to. So this is an interesting parable for you to solve for yourself. But that is when we love you most. And that's when you suddenly get the most views. Perhaps you as a person feels like everything's crumbling, and you as a person is almost like unaware or unawake. But for us, that's delicious and tasty about you. It's an interesting time where your innocence and your nervousness and your insecurity that has come to the surface of yourself becomes a beautiful flower on the cactus. It's like that you do not see. Perhaps you think that your function is the cactus. Your function is the savior of, people in the desert or animals in the desert. But in actual fact, we just admire it when you bloom, when you can actually come out like that and say, hey, or even if you don't say it, we can feel it. I don't want you to know this, but I've actually, I've got a, say like a drinking problem, or like I've got an issue with my friend because of something that I've actually done. And it could be almost like, I'm really like forgiving of everything in the world. But quite often when a Scorpio has got to forgive themselves, it's not easy, because it's almost like a sign that has become the greatest protruder of worth and understanding until they can see that people don't actually get it, so they kind of like sidestep out of situations when they're not heard, and they do their own thing. But quite often, to see, this is weird, because to see us Scorpios in a state of disarray, or like, oh, how did I not see, or like, how did I not understand this lesson of life, makes this vulnerable edge, which in a person that sees us, that witnesses us, or even people or society or anything that is looking at us, fall madly in love with us for nothing. So we sometimes become almost like the best in the bunch because we are talking about our issues. We could become almost like the best heard or the best understood when we make a mistake and then we cry about it, or we confuse ourselves as to who we were or who we are due to our inability to see the future or the past. Like, we didn't learn on our mistakes, we had no idea. It's like, oh my gosh, scrap everything I've said, I'm not sure of myself. And this is the type of month for you. No one understood you before perhaps this moment, and nothing perhaps made sense to another about you until they could see you stuff up and almost like feel this weird regret. But also in the regret for a Scorpio, there's something that is really powerful, which is actual love, like real love for all creation. Almost like, wow, I'm so sorry. And this humbling of Scorpio becomes almost the archetype for themselves later in life, when they understand that most of the things that perhaps they've said in vain or done have led them to this really incredible place where they're just like, I'm just humbled by you, I give up, you know, I'm not hurting anyone, I'm not trying, I'm not fathoming, I'm not illuminating, I'm just seriously like, you guys, this is beautiful, I'm just humbled by this. If you are in a state of bliss through this, that's much better. But if you are not, have a look at how come and why you can't be in a state of bliss. So the feeling of being humbled is like, yeah, you know, like I've spent a lot of money, or like, yeah, I've lost the bet, or like, yeah, I've lost a friend, I lost the person that I was in love with. Yeah, okay, I lost. And if you can be that, and you cannot, how can I say, take it through into like, well, yeah, but I've got this, and this, and this, and this. Or like, well, yeah, of course, yeah, okay, so that didn't work out, but there's a reason why that didn't work out, and it's going to land in my lap in the end. Like, I've got a way of getting all that money back, or like, I've got actually a way of achieving a lot more when I'm drinking than when I'm not drinking. So instead of like, how can I say, fleshing out why you think you're the best in the end anyway, trying to have a look at what is so humbling and what's so kind of like scary about this month for you, and perhaps how you have come to be so beautiful, or how you've come to be so luminous, or why is it that perhaps you are losing parts of yourself, or what is it about you that's desperate for something, or what is it so decadent about you but on the other side is quite insane, or perhaps on the one hand it is very, very, very protruding as truth, but something else is missing. What is the, how can I say, the counterbalance of your psyche as you've gone through your 12th house expansion in Libra last year, all through like you know, the transit of Jupiter through Libra. You might be at this really incredible stage here in November as your planet is in Capricorn, and then when you really, really understand, like, how can I say this? When you really, really understand the true damage and the true vulnerable feelings about causing the damage, or when you're actually understanding how things are not always right, sometimes there's like a depth or a distortion about what you know, and how you achieve success is also through sometimes illusion, and how sometimes, for example, you might break a lot of things in order to achieve something magnificent, or you might actually have to be at the end, like at the tip, at the end of yourself in order to start something, or you've got to break yourself down completely in some sense to also alleviate and rebirth yourself. And to us it looks like a magical chemical process, but until you kind of can see the shadow that it takes to forge you, sometimes, Scorpio, I feel you won't understand anything. So, and being righteous and pushing people around and saying, I was always right, there's just the way the cookie crumbles, that's just the way the world works, can sometimes hold a lot of meaning for you, especially around your birthday time, but in the same sense, it can actually rob you of your dreams. And there is nothing wrong with being a dreamer. There is nothing wrong with saying, I'm not going to be like anyone else. I'm going to structure a life in a different way. But in the same sense, it's also very nice and humbling to understand what other people sometimes think about you, or how you may have walked over other people and stepped on a lot of toes in some sense in order to receive what you have. Another way of seeing this is also to see the shadow, the dark and the light of your world. For example, you might have a very, very successful household, like you've got like your pets and your family and your children, and that to us looks amazing. Like you might be very successful as a parent, but at the same time you might not want us to see how much pain and pressure that has created in your life. And also, for example, you might be a great athlete or a bodybuilder, but people don't see how much work and how much time you've spent on yourself. Like there is a shadow as well to that, as well as the light. there's grit and an incredible amount of perseverance that's needed from you there. And perhaps if you've got a thriving company or a business, people don't actually see the amount of work that you put into it, or how many sleepless nights and sleepless days you had to spend on trying to form something that perhaps to another person looks like a miracle, and perhaps you're very good at making it look like it is so. But yeah, just pull the rabbit out of a hat. But it isn't that. It is more about understanding that sometimes to forge you've got to break as well. And occasionally one time, perhaps you at least have seen how you've destroyed something, you've destroyed a person, and you've destroyed a situation in order to create something new. And it's not really, really hard to understand. It is easy. And the more you can kind of like see the black and white, the light and dark, or the irony of gain, or the beauty of loss, the more you will likely pull in a lot more human stories into your life, instead of, say, being like the perpetrator of wisdom without really having any kind of like a human experience, or perpetrator of religion, spirituality, or like the pusher of the products, the pusher of yourself. And the human aspect, the human element is what's needed there. And sometimes that requires you to cry. And for some of us Scorpios, it's an incredible polishing time of our ego as well, when we're actually understanding how much time we've spent on ourselves or on something in order to succeed or achieve something. And when we really look at ourselves as people, as we really like age and we develop wisdom and maturity, like what is a person and who is that which lives inside, we might actually achieve an understanding eventually. You didn't need it. You didn't need it. You could have had a very, very simple, very, very realistic experience of life. But for some reason, for most of us, it's not really about that. It's about the mystery and the magic of what can be. And this can become a very, very pulling experience, especially now. When we understand that occasionally what we create isn't actually beautiful. We can create beauty on the outside, but really when we look at it, it's a Frankenstein monster. And though we don't actually really, really want to create badly, we always try. Scorpios very often, out of the depth of their being, out of the scream of their soul, connect to things and create things that in the end they could regret, or they could not understand why they did these things. It's a very, very nice, humbling time to result, how can I say, as you are, like seeing yourself in a very, very, very speckle-free way. For example, if you're somebody who covers themselves up in makeup and wears beautiful clothes and attempts to be, how can I say, the king or the queen of the party, or attempts to become even more famous or even more successful always, it would be nice to just reduce yourself down to very basic things. Just breathe. Just breathe. Just be yourself. Just take everything off and just be a human. Just sit alone. Sit inside. Feel what it is like to be you. Like what it is what it is to go outside simple. What it is like to be almost like a naked person, like a naked ape. What is it like to be at the basic part of your human level? What is it to be human? What is it to be just you? And these questions I feel are popping up all over the place. This interesting question that I'm feeling is, why are we developing our world the way that we are, even though we can see through it? We can see right through it. We can see right through a lot of the things that other people do, but we're still kind of going with it. Why is it that we're still paying for things that we can generate ourselves? Why do we still need to nurture celebrities? Why do we still need to nurture people that are above us? Why do we still pander to people? Why have we got like human slavery systems still everywhere you look? How come there is still this weird slavery with service, or this really weird non-communal thing? And these questions can go on and on and on until you can just see the basics of yourself. So don't want to perhaps think too far ahead unless you work as a visionary. It is a very good time to just basically devise yourself in really simple human terms. And in humble energy, you might actually find a lot more for yourself than you previously have seen in the world. And what I mean by that is that you might actually succeed a lot more in all ways, all waves, like all wavelengths of life, if you just start sort of kind of like seeing yourself as just a really simple person, and everything about you will change. And it's not just for yourself, I feel it is for the world, because you constantly holding on to something for us that we can't see. I'm feeling that this time is like a golden key to wisdom, or like a golden key to something. And we've got Jupiter starting off in your sign, and there is like a golden energy, and your 12th house is full of things as well. Even though you've had the cleanse, it is still full of it. So there is a lot of unconscious business happening. So it is time to really, really, really see things in a very simplistic and a very, very humble and wholesome way, because otherwise, when you don't have this window filled with that, and you're trying to, for instance, give people the time of day so you can share your words with them and show them how great you are and how much you've known, like how little, for example, success you achieved while failing at something else, you know, like how beautiful you have become. And if you are like really spreading this month out, like a lot of astrologers will tell you to do, and kind of spread out and be like, yeah, that's right, say I'm a seer, that's right. And also people have a hunger of it, they have a hunger for it. They've got a hunger for like the yoga instructor, or like, wow, the person that plays the singing bowls, wow. And it's not so good for us Scorpios to really sprawl out almost like a cat in the sunshine and be like, that's right, I've done it all and I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you. It's not a good time to teach anybody anything. It is actually a really, really impeccable time to wander inside of yourself, and see if you could perhaps, in that wandering inside of yourself, see that light, or see those specks of you that are missing, or see those sparkly bits that aren't yet truly connected to you because there's no human behind them. So for example, yeah, I've done all I could to be a fitness model. I didn't eat, you know, I exercised all the time. And then this is what other women are aspiring to. You know, this is the new normal. This is my Instagram account. And there is no remorse. There is nothing else behind it. In the same sense as for me, like, for example, with these types of techniques that I'm using, what I do with my mind is I basically completely switch everything that I am and I ever have been off in order to generate these experiences for you guys. But then there might be a feeling like, how do I learn to public speak like that? Or like, what do I do to connect to this? There is nothing that you need to take from here that you, how can I say, take on as something to mimic or to program yourself with. It's basically a service. It's a service because this is secondary now, but it used to be my first foremost nature to be this. And I feel you. You know what I mean? Like, I feel you. So this is like a way for me to connect to you more than you needing to connect to me as well, which is quite interesting. As a little like turning of tables. So in a sense, I need you more than you need me. And there's lots of different ways in which Scorpio can wake up and grow out of itself, of its previous self. It's like shedding skin. Definitely don't take this time to bombard other people with compliments. Show them your grace, you know, like being like the rich and famous, the beautifully placed, the peak of your game, especially when you're wondering about what you've done in the last year or in the last while, and you're kind of seeing that there is not actually a lot of you in there. There is something else working through you, or there is nothing but the big ego of a person who wanted a giant business or corporation. It isn't really, how can I say, the best time to reach out towards us, especially if you're finding that your recent frontiers of life have been made out of the need for more, the need for grace, the need for abundance, you know, upping your status and making more stars of yourself. It's actually very, very unhealing for us sometimes to see when we're at a party and perhaps many of us are looking for a Scorpio within ourselves or other people, and then we find this person who is beyond it, and they can kind of see almost like a sadness about it. It's like, you know, those burnt out celebrities or burnt out stars, burnt out bankers, you know, burnt out lawyers, you know, they've already conquered the field and they're kind of like sitting there, even doctors or surgeons, and they kind of can see both sides of the business. They see both sides of the business. They can see the light and the dark, and they're seeing that it's not all candy coated. It's actually quite a scary universe to go into. And then, for example, you're at a party or a social gathering and this person comes out and they're sad. They're so sad they're drinking. Don't be that Scorpio. Don't be that person. And they give a newbie advice. It's like, yeah, well, I'll tell you how to make a multi-million-dollar company. Yeah, I'll tell you how to do that. Well, what you got to do is you got to do this, and you got to ask, are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy to give advice like Scorpio? Are you really that happy in your own experience to be able to put another person in perspective? Do you really want somebody else to show themselves a path that you have given yourself? If you are like a fitness model that doesn't eat, do you really want other girls to ask you how you've achieved your figure and then secretly tell them, I actually don't eat, I only eat like, say, one meal every 2 days? You know, like, so to be that person and to show off for what you've become is not easy unless you see all sides of it. For example, if you've achieved a very good success, you know, as for example, a hairdresser, you've achieved a great success as a hairdresser, and you get paid to, you know, put bleach and, you know, other crap in people's hair to make them look interesting. You have to understand that it's not just about fashion, class, you know, social values. It's art, you know. You've got to also see the other side too. So don't delude yourself in being like a white and fluffy feathered sort of like person who wants to just see the good in everything that you are. Also see that you're torturing hair, you're torturing natural formation. You're making a person believe that what they've got is better than what they have already. You're creating a haircut or a style or like a job of the hair that can't be sustained unless they see you or somebody like you again. You're creating a cycle for the person and they can't get out. So, for example, for me, yeah, I'm working with spirit, but also at the same time, yeah, I help people get over their trauma. I help people, you know, get rid of their problems. I help people achieve more balance and success in their relationships. I help people understand their psyche, their past life, their karmic issues, la la la. In the same sense, as I'm also wiring them up to understand life in a very, very, it's almost like this is just honestly between you and me, Scorpio, a sociopathic way. And it's not sociopathic, but it is to be like, oh, okay, so look at reality. Look, you've got fractal, fractal, fractal. This is a geometric pattern of your life. Why don't do this? And basically what I'm helping people achieve, which to me feels very necessary, for some reason, a quick wake-up call when perhaps it would have taken them 4 or 5 years to achieve that themselves. But in those 4 or 5 years, they could have achieved much more by struggling through it themselves. And occasionally people sometimes do need to definitely have a look at how they can struggle, and in that they can find their own light instead of like clicking the formula into place. And sure, they can click other formulas into place after perhaps seeing someone like me, but in the same sense, do they really want the free go? Do they really want the opening of the door that easy? I mean, if you are looking for a psychic, do you really want to know the answers so fast? Or do you see that you can perhaps take more care and figure things out for yourself? And that's the question that I feel every Scorpio must ask themselves in November. Do I really provide a service? You know, do I really provide nurture? Have I really got the greatest value that I think I have? Can I not see the other side of it as well? Could I say that I've been the best husband or the best wife this whole time? Or can I kind of see the shadow between those things as well? And it's a very, very nice time, if you can, especially by the end of November, to see the worth in both. You know, so for example, you're a hairdresser. Yeah, sure, I create art, but I also like, you know, ruin somebody's nature. I ruin someone's nature. And then you can see the in between that, and in between that is basically the bridge that you're going to hopefully start building in the next year to come as Jupiter goes through your sign. And the bridge is basically realizing that neither is right or wrong. It is just how it is. It is just how it is. And then that's where the ego goes down, the knees go down, and everything that you've been holding on to becomes obsolete. And this is where the new you is born. And it goes, oh, well, let's see what's next. Okay, I've got a positive view on the world. I've got a bit to do. Yeah, I've got a bit to do, but that's all right. So what else is here? So the positivity births out of inevitability of both shadow and light working together to form anything, absolutely anything. And through that, I feel is the beginning of life for you. And this could be a rebirthing time. And if you are, unlike me, incredible, at knowing both sides of the story and never really needing to know the depth of it. You might just laugh. It might be a lovely time to just laugh at everything and conclude all stories here and now. So, for example, you've been offered a business, laugh. You've been offered a job, laugh. You've been offered a partner, laugh. You've been offered to have a child, laugh. You've been offered a house, laugh. You've been offered a job for like a big company, like a spiritual company, laugh. You've been offered something from spirit, laugh. You've been bribed, laugh. Everything is perfect how it is. But when we start laughing, when we start enlightening and we can see the true futility of everything on our plate, that's when we wake up. So thank you very much, Scorpio. Enjoy your time. If you'd like to subscribe. If you'd like to do a reading, we can. And if you'd like to buy my books, you can as well. Up to you. I'll put everything in the links below. Thank you very much. Bye.